In this video, we will be discussing about find the number of distinct colors among the balls. You are given an integer limit and a 2D array queries of size n cross 2. There are limit plus 1 balls with distinct labels in the range 0 to limit. Initially, all the balls are uncolored. For every query in queries that is of the form x, y, you mark ball x with the color y. After each query, you need to find out the number of distinct colors among the balls. Return an array result of length n where result of I denotes the number of distinct colors after the ith query. Note that when answering a query, lack of a color will not be considered as a color. So what they are saying is that in the input, we are given an integer limit and an integer array queries. So this limit denotes that there are limit plus one number of balls. So here the limit is 4. So we are having total 5 balls which are labeled from 0 to 4 and these are those balls. Now this queries array is denoting that ball 1 is being colored with a color of 4. Ball 2 is being colored with a color of 5. Now, what is our aim? Our aim is to return an array result which tells us that at each of the query, how many distinct colors were there among all the balls. So basically, first query is that to the ball 1, we are giving a color of 4. So we gave a color 4 over here. So for the first query right now, how many distinct colors do we have? Only one, which is 4. So one we will keep in our array. Then next is that to the ball 2 we are giving a color of 5. So we gave a color 5 over here. Now we have two distinct colors. So for second query the answer will be 2. Then in the third query we are giving a color of 3 to ball 1. So we are giving a color 3 over here. We are overwriting the color. So right now the distinct colors are 2 only, 3 and 5. So the answer will be 2. Then we have 3, 4. So to the ball 3 we are giving a color of 4. So right now the distinct colors among the balls are 3, which is 3, 5 and 4. So the answer will be 3 for the last query. This is what we need to return as our answer. Right. So now how are we going to solve this? So first thing that comes to the mind is that whenever we are giving a color to a ball, let's just count that color, right? So basically if I take some variable answer and initialize it to 0. Now the first query is that to the ball 1, I am giving a color of 4. So I gave a color 4 over here and I incremented my answer by 1. So then that means for the first query, the answer is 1. Then the second query is that to the ball 2, I gave a color of 5. So I gave a color 5 over here and I incremented my answer by 1. So the answer for this query becomes 2. Then the next query is 1, 3. Now, if I give a color 3 over here, I would again increment my answer by 1 and it would become 3. But this is incorrect. Why? Because the distinct colors are still 2. Right. So then that means somewhere we will have to store that what all balls are already colored, so that whenever we are overwriting the color of any ball, we do not increment our answer by 1. So if let us suppose that somewhere I have the mapping that to the ball 1 I have a color of 4, to the ball 2 I have a color of 5, then what I can do is whenever I have this query, I can check that is ball 1 already colored or not. So from here I will check that okay, ball 1 is already colored. So then that means I will only update the color over here and I won't increment my answer by 1. So for this, the answer will remain 2 only. Then next comes 3, 4. So I will check again. Ball 3 is not colored. So now I will give it a color and I will increment my answer by 1 and 3 will be answer for the last query. Now there is one more case over here. Let us suppose that we had a query 4, 4, meaning to the ball 4 we are giving a color of 4. So if I give 4 over here, 4 ball was not already colored. So you would increment your answer by 1 and it became 4. But is it actually 4? No, because the distinct colors are only 3, 5 and 4. There are only 3 distinct colors, but we are giving the answer as 4. So that is wrong. So then that means somewhere I should also know that which all colors I have already used so that I do not count them again, right? So basically I need two things. One is that which all balls are colored and which are not. And the second thing is what all distinct colors we have already used, right? So what we can simply do is that we can take two hash maps, one for the color and one for the ball, right? Now, whenever we have a query, we are coloring ball 1 with a color of 4. So we will check from this hash map, is ball 1 already colored or not? So we can see it is not colored. So what we will do is that to the ball 1, we will give a color of 4. And in this colors hash map, we will update the frequency of this color by 1. Right. So basically the size of this hash map will tell us that how many distinct colors do we have among all the balls. Right. So basically the answer for this query will be the size of this hash map, which is 1. right? Then the next query is 2 comma 5. So from ball's hash map we can see that 2 is not colored, so we will give it a color of 5, and in the colors vector we will increment the frequency of this color by 1. So for this query the answer will be 2, right? Then the next query is 1 comma 3. Now we can see over here that ball 1 is already colored. So when it is already colored, we are overwriting this color, right? And when we are overwriting it, so I should also decrement the frequency of this color from this hash map, right? So what we will do is we will take this color which is 4, we will come in this hash map and we will decrement the frequency of 4 by 1. So it will become 0. Now as soon as the frequency of some color becomes 0, then that means this color is now not present among the balls, right? So we should erase it, because if we will not erase it, then the size of our hash map will still remain 2 only, right? So now we have erased it, and now we can give a color of 3 to ball 1, and then we'll come here and update its frequency by 1. Now for this query, the answer will be the size of this hash map, which is 2. Then the next query is 3 comma 4. We can see from the balls vector that ball 3 is not covered. So we will color the ball 3 with 4, and then here we will update the frequency of 4 by 1, and the answer will be 3. Now if let us suppose that we had another query of 4 comma 4. So you would come here, you will check that ball 4 is not already colored. So here you would give a color of 4 to ball 4, and then in the colors hash map you would increment the frequency of 4 by 1. But if you will see that the distinct number of colors, basically the size of the hash map is 3, so that remained the same. So this is how we are able to handle both the scenarios, right? So now here we would just be iterating once inside these queries. So if let us suppose that the total number of queries are n, so our time complexity over here would be order of n, and space complexity, so in the colors and the balls hash map we could have n distinct colors, right? Basically, if let us suppose that all the queries have different colors, so you would end up adding n distinct colors in your hash map. So the space complexity will be order of n over here. Now let's quickly look at the code. So first of all, let's take the size of the queries vector and store it in n. Then we will create a vector result for our answer, which will be of size n, right? Now we want to create two hash maps, one for the colors and one for the ball, right? So we will create an unordered map over here, which will store integer comma integer. Let's name it ball map and the color map. Then we will start iterating inside the queries. So for int I equals to 0, I less than n, I plus plus, and then inside this, let's take the ball and the color, right? So the ball is queries of I comma 0, and the color is queries of I comma 1, right? Now we need to check that if this ball is already colored. So what we will do is that in the ball map we will find this ball, right? So if it is not equals to ball map dot end, then that means it is already colored. So when it is already colored, we will take its previous color, right? Whatever is the color right now, so that will be in the ball map whatever is present at the key ball, right? Now for this previous color we need to decrement its frequency by 1 from the color map, right? So in the color map, at this key we will decrement it by 1. Now we need to check that if the frequency of this previous color has become equals to 0, so we need to erase it from the color map, right? So we will do color map dot erase previous, right? And once we are done with this, we will assign the new color. So in the ball map, at this particular ball we will give this particular color, and then in the color map we will increment the frequency of this color by 1, right? And then the answer for this query will be equals to color map dot size, right? And then at the end over here we can just return our resultant vector. So let's run this now. So our test cases are accepted. Let's submit this. So it got accepted. Thank you so much for watching. Please like the video and subscribe our channel.